Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin, and sitting next to me today, rather than across from me, is the prettiest girl I know, Londa Sherwood Austin.
Yeah, we're switching it up today.
It's kind of a special edition because this episode is coming to you live. No, it's not live. It's coming to you pre-recorded from the Minor Family Reunion in Pine Mountain, Georgia. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty exciting event because Londa has never been here, and it's one that I've been coming to for 30 years now.
Yeah.
And Londa got to meet the whole family, and it's my mother's side of the family.
Yep.
So
Dr. Mary Eden Minor.
That's exactly right. So a very fun event for me to get to introduce you to my entire family, and everybody has been thrilled with you and said nothing but wonderful things.
At least to our faces.
There has not been one negative comment shared with me, and believe me, if there were negative comments, they would have come to me secretly to give them.
Okay, all right.
I would have heard things like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?
What are you thinking,
What are you
David?"
thinking?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so we're here remote on the road.
That's exactly
from
right.
From our Chalet.
All
so it looks a little different than our
equipment
studio.
is here, but it definitely looks different.
Yeah,
our main
weird.
camera is at a weird camera angle that is not.
That's weird.
Well, if we were facing one another,
Oh, I gotcha.
that would make more sense. But the camera facing you is just facing you. The one facing me gets you. So I don't know. I don't know how I like this setup.
Well, it's when you're on the road, you don't have the options, the choices that you do when you're in your studio and you're all comfortable. I think we did pretty well.
I think we did pretty well too. And here's the best part. We could be doing this actually from the road in our new RV.
Well, which we may.
Because we purchased an RV for this trip because, we go back home every month.
Well, we purchased an RV for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, there you go. And, as we now are going to Washington, we'll leave here tomorrow at the crack of dawn and get to Washington in 3 days. And that's
fingers crossed.
That's going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
So
we've got to roll in by 10 a.m. Saturday morning at the very latest.
That's exactly right.
And hopefully it's going to be
Easton's birthday.
Before that. Well, we have an appointment at 10. Easton's birthday, our grandson's turning 1. He's turning 1.
What's our 10 o'clock appointment?
Our 10 o'clock appointment is at the Bloom Room Salon.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've got to get my hairs did, as it were.
That's exactly right.
At the Bloom Room Salon, which is, run by our daughter,
that's
Andrea.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Andrea Harpster is the operating partner at the Bloom Room Salon. And what a rock star that kid is.
She is a rock star. And the cool thing is watching her do her thing. Her social media presence is really cool.
Yes.
The look of the salon is right in line with her look.
Yeah, it's all very on brand for her.
Yeah.
It was like an accidental brand that was born with her, and I love their philosophy at the Bloom Room, and they want to serve a lot of different kinds of clients. They want everyone to feel welcome. In fact,
inclusivity.
Yeah, they just recently had a client that shared actually on social media, tagged them and said, I felt really comfortable at the Bloom Room, and sometimes I can feel really intimidated at really nice salons like hers. And but she felt really comfortable, and it was warm and inviting, and she felt welcomed. And that's exactly what they're shooting for there. And, this was a kid who kind of took a risk. I mean, she's 26 now. I don't know.
26. That sounds right.
All right.
That sounds legit.
And a millennial, and started a business in a pandemic, and is doing really, really well with it.
Oh, that's very interesting that you say that because, I relate business through the eyes of someone who's been in business for over 30 years.
Yes.
So I'm seeing the world through a lens that is very different than what she's seeing it through.
Sure.
And that's a very interesting concept. In fact, a little bit later in the show, we're going to bring in another millennial who is just getting going. They're a few months into a new moving company in South Central Florida.
Yeah.
So
very impressive.
Yeah.
These young people, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll probably say it again later in the show too, but I hear a lot of people complaining about millennials, and I just don't get it. I don't get the complaint, because my experience with millennials in my circles has been, they are just an impressive group of people, very entrepreneurial minded, self-starters. They're kind of not afraid of anything.
The complaint that I hear most people have about millennials is how they communicate differently. And they communicate in a way that most people who are 40 and up really are just trying to catch up on and learn to understand. Their social media presence is aggressive. They've never not had a cell phone. They don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
So they just communicate in a different way. And for stodgy older people like me and you, no, you're pretty hip. You're pretty hip.
What?
Yeah, you're pretty hip.
I'm on the TikTok.
You are on the TikTok. Anyway, I think people complain about things they don't understand.
For sure.
And millennials are living a lifestyle that people our age typically did not grow up with.
Right.
And have a hard time relating to. And I think that's where the complaints usually come from.
Yeah.
You hear people say, well, they can't complete a sentence because they text all the time.
That's so inaccurate, though.
You know what I'm saying, though?
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. But that's the kind of stereotypical language you hear about millennials, right? So
it sets my hair on fire.
One thing that I'm really excited about with the millennials that we know is they don't have a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that, because fear is the number one thing that stops people from doing what they want to do. Not what they have to do, but what they want to do.
Well, that unwinds all the way to a mindset and who you surround yourself with and what you're putting in front of yourself, the things that you consume. And I've talked with some of our kids about this, that we as a society can now curate our worldview.
That's right.
Because we have a cell phone that gives us, if we want, all of our news, all of our information.
Yes.
Everything, right? And it can be curated.
Right.
For me only. So I could, if I wanted to, unfollow, if you will, anything that doesn't agree with what I agree with.
That's right.
And I don't do that. And I actually purposefully follow people and organizations and things that I don't agree with, because I always want to keep broadening my vision. I always want to be challenged by new ideas, new thoughts. And I just don't ever want to get stuck in the way that I think. And so, and I guess I'm a little bit of a weirdo this way. Like if I see a tweet or something or a news article or whatever
is Twitter still a thing?
Yeah.
I'm one of those dodgy guys that doesn't know. I have a Twitter account. I don't know how to use it.
So if I see something that I wholeheartedly disagree with, rather than getting up in arms about it and unfollowing or whatever, blocking or any of that kind of thing, I tend to look at it and think, okay, why is this making me so upset? What about this statement is really bothering me? And if I can pinpoint that, then I can start to unravel, like, well, then why do I feel the way that I do about this? And can I logically argue the point or make the point, an opposing view, and is it old stuff that I need to let go of? Or is it thought processes that need to grow and mature into other thoughts? Or is it thought processes that are rooted in some kind of trauma or some kind of, I really try to unwind the whole thing And I would encourage a lot of people to do that. And I guess a lot of it comes back to, and what I'm really trying to say is having an open mind about things.
Yeah.
I want to always be open to new ideas, and that helps fight against that fear. And maybe that's why I can take crazy leaps of faith, if you will.
Yes.
And do things that seem ridiculous to other people. The number of people, well, I'll tell you, when I started telling a couple of people that you and I were getting married, and it only took a couple people for me to decide to shut my mouth and not tell anybody else, because, there were my close friends were my, one super close friend was really supportive of it. But, I told a couple other people, like, you go from this circle to this circle to this one. And they were freaking out, like, this is really fast and you shouldn't do that and blah, blah, blah. And I instead of taking what they said and giving weight to it,
right,
knowing who I was and what I was about, knowing it was right for me, and a lot of that was being open-minded to, this makes me really happy right now. This is what I want to do right now.
But next Thursday,
right now,
something could go terribly sideways.
Well, you never know. And so I'm going to do it, because and there's been a lot of different things in my life in the last 2 or 3 years that have been that way, that I've just said, well, there may not be a lot of people that agree with it, but I don't need people to agree with me anymore. And I saw, it was actually a TikTok recently that said, it was a person who had their fingernails painted, and they'd gone to a salon, and someone had made a negative comment about this person getting their fingernails painted, and because they, didn't fit, I guess, the other person in the salon's
sensibility.
Yeah. And then the person said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Have you not reached the point? I'm so sorry that you haven't reached the point in your life where you don't care what other people think about you, but I hope you get there someday."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of freedom in that. And I think it's something that's built into some of these millennial kids, is that idea that it's almost like there's two spectrums of it. There's some that need everybody's approval about everything they do. And then there's this faction over here that, like, they don't need anybody's approval or permission or anything.
Well, and then there's the group that is woke, and they want everyone to agree with them. And if you don't agree, you're on the bad side of the list.
Well, it's interesting. And to me, that's just closed-mindedness.
Well, and we've seen that historically over time always go wrong. Yeah, of
course.
Always go wrong.
Yeah. But we've also seen it in every generation, too.
Yeah.
It's nothing new, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing new. But it really does come back to, for me, mindset.
Yeah.
And I always want to be spending time with people who have a growth mindset, Les Savage is a guy who, not a millennial.
No.
But a great friend and mentor to both of us. And how old is he? I don't know, in his 70s, maybe?
He's in his 70s, yeah.
Yeah, but what a growth mindset.
You know what? When he was thinking about, he had a race to 70. He had a plan and things he wanted to do before he turned 70 to set up his retirement. And he did every single one. Well, he retired from being a new construction builder.
Sure.
But he didn't retire from being an investor. He didn't retire from being an entrepreneur. He didn't retire from being a thinker. That guy still gets up every morning before the sun's up and does his 3 days a week jog around the neighborhood, Or
down by the river.
That's exactly right. I mean, that guy is a perfect example of someone who is always thinking, and as a result will always be young.
Yeah.
That's why when he was fighting his cancer fight, it was so sad for me, because when he was doing his chemo, he did not look like Les Savage. He looked like a little old man.
Yeah.
And that was very sad for me. For me, he's probably the closest non-blood related man to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
15 years being his little protege and, you know, learning and watching. And I got to tell you, it's really cool, and you do become the people you hang around and spend time with.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we are much more entrepreneurial in this marriage than either one of us were in our previous marriages.
Yeah.
And we're taking much more risks, which brings me back to the conversation that fear stops people from doing what they want to do. You know what I mean? And I think...
Do you think it's an internal dialogue that they're having with themselves?
Absolutely.
Or the external dialogue because they're not surrounding themselves with the right kind of people?
Well, that's a great question, and I think they're perfectly intertwined.
Okay.
I think your inner dialogue is based on your set of circumstances. Ooh. So if you're spending a lot of time with people who are the kind of people that say, oh, you can't do that, there's no way that'll be successful.
I hate that. I absolutely hate that kind of mindset.
Well,
crazy.
I happen to know you do because I read in your book about being a champion to your children's dreams.
Yeah.
And
let them believe they can do anything.
I gotta tell you.
Believe it.
I feel like when I read that book that my mother read that book 45, 46, 47, 48, 49 years ago, because my mother, my entire life, and it's a little bittersweet because we're at my family reunion and my mom is deceased and it's her sisters that I'm spending time with this week. She always championed my dreams, always. And my brother too. Yeah. When my brother said he wanted to play the double bass, the stand-up bass, well, she figured out a way for him to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's so cool, and you really talk about it in your book. And I don't mean to keep plugging your book because you don't make any money when you sell a copy.
I don't. But I may write another book.
You should for sure write another book, and I know for sure you will. In fact, I'm going to make this prediction. In 1 year from today, you will have written another book.
We'll see.
You will. 1 year from today. That's my prediction.
Okay.
You haven't told me that off the air. In fact, you said you may never write anything again, which I know is totally untrue. So I'm going to say in a year you'll have another book. That's my now, you may be shopping that book around for a while, but in a year that book will have been written. It may not be published yet, but it will have been written. Absolutely.
Well, I am doing research on a book right now, but it's just more for my family than anything.
Right.
So.
Well, there you go. So that's my thing. And again, if you surround yourself with people who believe in your possibilities, you will make those things happen.
Yeah, but I want to be careful to say we're not talking about surrounding yourself with yes people.
Oh, right. Yeah, no.
Right? I don't want anybody to misinterpret that and hear this and think, oh, I need to surround myself with people who only agree with me and think I can do whatever I say I want to do. That's not the case.
Right.
People who are good for you will challenge you.
That's right.
They'll challenge your ideas. Mm-hmm. They'll challenge your processes. They'll challenge, but they do it in a very...
constructive way.
Yeah, a very specific way that you don't question their care for you and you don't question, that kind of thing.
Well, sometimes you can surround yourself with people who challenge you and you do question their care for you, and sometimes that's okay too. For instance, one of my greatest allies and cheerleaders in my life, Ray Sutley, the first 2 years that I knew Ray, I didn't know where I stood. He was gruff. He was distant, but he was smart, and he gave me the rope I needed to make mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's someone like that who needs to be in your circle will give you the rope to make mistakes, because mistakes are just learning adventures.
But for the first 2 years that I knew the guy, because of the legend of Ray Sutley at my radio station, he was scary. He was a gruff, scary guy. Well, the
stories are crazy.
He was such a gruff, scary guy that finally, once he and I had a personal relationship, I told a legend, it was untrue, that he caught me doing something at the radio station that I wasn't supposed to do. And I joked that, and people so believed it, he made me retell it to new hires, that he came into the station, was so angry with me, he took me into the engineering closet and took off his belt and spanked me. That did not happen. He did not spank me, but I got to tell you.
Does Justine know this story?
Oh, she's heard the story, I'm sure. Everybody who heard the story thought it was a certainty that happened to me. And I would let him off the hook in the end and tell people, no, of course that didn't happen. And Ray would go, he, guy. That's hilarious.
In what ways do you think he was an influence in your life? I mean, and can you think of some really important moments in your life that he was there and played a role in?
Yes, I can think of several, and we don't have 3 hours.
No, but can you choose one maybe?
Yes. He gave me the opportunity once to lie in business, to tell him a lie. And I don't know what made me not lie, actually. So here's the story. I was the nighttime news guy, as well as the board operator at News Radio KPEL. It was, at the time, 1420 on the AM dial and 107.7 on the FM dial. Ray was very strict, right?
Okay.
And my job time was from 4 in the afternoon until 11 at night. And one thing I did a ton of was hung out with my buddy Tom Mitchell on the FM station across the radio station from there, from where I was. Did we go to KPEL when we were in Lafayette together?
So in the same building, but like across the hall or something?
They were, at the time, there are like 6 radio stations in the building now, but at the time there were only 2. And there was News Radio KPEL when you came in, and it's still there. And the booth on the other side was 99.9 KTDY FM, the light rock station.
Okay.
Continuous light rock. Anyway, I would turn up my monitors loud enough to hear throughout the building.
Okay.
And if I knew I didn't have a stop set that I needed to play and the show was going on, I would often run over to Tom's side.
You little social butterfly.
And Tom and I would talk, and we'd come up with ideas for bits on his show or on commercials that we were going to do together and try to be funny.
You were brainstorming, for work.
And had my foot always in his studio door in case something weird happened at KPEL. I could monitor it and hear it and run over there. Right. Well, this was...
so you weren't shirking your duties completely.
No, you could hear it, right?
Okay.
So it was about 9:40, because we had already done the bottom of the hour stop set on April 15th, which is tax day.
Okay.
I did not know this at the time, and it was during that first year at News Radio KPEL. Well, first full year. I started in the fall, so it was the next April, and I'm standing with my foot on the door. Tom's at the board, and he says, "Hey, bub, phone's ringing. Grab it in the production room." So behind me, there's a little walkway, is the production room. So I go to the production room. I see the phone ring, and I answer the phone. I sit down on the counter facing away, and I hear, "Hey, guy, where are you right now?" And at that moment...
Oh, my gosh.
Angel devil... Right?
Yeah.
Angel says, come clean. Devil says, screw it. How could he know?
Right.
And for some reason, instead of answering, I said, and this was pivotal for him in our relationship too, I said, "Why, Ray?" And he says, "Turn around."
Oh.
And I turn around, and he's standing right behind me on the other side of the glass with the phone in his hand, looking at me in the face. And he didn't have to say anything.
Right.
I put down the phone.
It's a level of respect, right? You have a level of respect for him. And so that's why he doesn't have to say anything.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was before he and Justine were a thing. And
you've said his wife, Justine,
he became a lot more docile after that. So when he and Justine became a thing and they got married, it was a different Ray Sutley.
Right. So this was before. This was Scary Ray.
Scary Ray. And if you ask anybody from that radio group, they'll tell you, oh yeah, Ray was scary. And as soon as he and Justine got married, something happened. I think he was going through the same level of depression that I was going through after my divorce. And just like I said at his funeral,
which was beautiful, by the way.
You are my Justine.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You're going to say that.
You saved me just like she saved him. And I thanked her at his funeral for doing that because I got to see that was real.
Yeah.
I got to see that was a thing.
That's what I meant was beautiful. You talking about their relationship.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to have to tag her in this episode.
Yeah,
so
for sure. I love that. I think I probably learned a lot about work environment and work atmosphere and, respecting people and surrounding yourself with certain people and not others and that kind of thing at Nordstrom.
Okay.
I think that was kind of the place that laid the foundation for me. And it was, the Nordstrom of 30 years ago.
Right.
Very different than Nordstrom of today. I'm a little sad to say that, but they were really high-end, dialed in, really such an amazing experience then. And I mean, there were so many rules in place as an employee, and the level of respect that, I developed for a lot of different people. But Steve Goodwin, who I'm still friends with today, was the men's department manager at the store that I started at. And I mean, that guy is all class, all professionalism, and people like that really taught me a lot.
And that guy walks the walk. Yeah. He doesn't just talk the talk.
Yeah. Steve Goodwin, owner of the Haberdashery.
That's right.
In Yakima, Washington.
That guy is the most nattily clad gentleman I've ever known.
And one of the sweetest, very kindest individuals that
Super
I know.
Nice.
Yeah. He's just a genuine guy and always has been.
That's right.
Yeah.
What a super, super guy.
Yeah. So I think... But we've covered a lot of ground.
Well,
we've talked about some really important concepts today.
I think if you surround yourself with people who want you to be successful and who champion your dreams,
so true,
you will be successful. And I with Ray Sutley, I made terrible gaffes. You know me. I'm very outspoken. It's not always the right thing to say.
Yeah, I did too.
I'll never forget when Tom Mitchell and I were having a conversation with Ed Perkins. Ed, you may remember this. I said, it's me, Tom Mitchell, Ed Perkins, and Ray Sutley standing right by us. And I said, yeah, guys, if I'm 40 years old and still doing radio in Market 98, put me down. And I look at Ray and he goes, I get it, guy. You're right. Ray was 40 years old in Market 98 at that time. And to me, he was a legend. I just wasn't thinking.
Right.
I want you, when you're a kid in radio, you want to be in New York City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to be in Lafayette, Louisiana.
I think that's one of the mistakes that kids, if you will, make today is they don't realize the work that the people who they're working with have put in. Just like Garrett was talking about, starting the moving company, they really couldn't put it all together and do it all without the one guy who had the experience.
You know what? That's a great segue. Let's go ahead and insert our conversation with Garrett here and come back and wrap this thing up.
Sounds great.
I'm really excited about this, Londa, because we talk a lot about businesses and business development. And one thing that's going to be a new trend that we're going to see very soon is millennials owning businesses.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's been building for a while. People diss on millennials a lot, and I do not,
Right.
probably because I raised a bunch of them.
Right.
And they have a strong entrepreneurial spirit, those kids. So.
Well, I think it's really interesting. We're joined today by one of my cousins, Garrett Zegers.
Welcome.
How we doing, everybody?
And Garrett is a millennial who has started a business, and it's a side hustle. It's not your primary thing. So tell me a little bit about you. Tell me about what you do, and then let's talk about the side hustle.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Well, how old are you, first of all?
first off, I am 25.
Okay.
Right on.
Cute little
I
effort.
was born in Tallahassee, raised around the Highlands County to the east of Polk County area in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your full-time gig, your job, your JOB that you...
So right now, I am working at a furniture warehouse.
Okay.
And help out a lot, do a lot of hard work. We all can't really stay away from each other, so on the weekends we have a little side hustle that we it's hard to figure out how we started.
Well, how did you start? So were you just sitting around, you're hanging out with your buddies from work?
Yes.
And what do you get a call from somebody? Hey, can you help us move?
That is exactly how it started.
There you go.
Yeah, and then we also have this other guy that works there. His name is Wes, and he has many years of experience, and he was already planning on starting a little side hustle with that. So we all decided to form together, and we are always on the move.
Always on the move.
A moving company.
Yes.
Yeah. So you do residential move primarily?
Mainly, yes.
Okay.
Our farthest move so far has been from Miami to Lake Placid. That's about a 4-hour.
So you're all kind of in that central and southern Florida area.
Yes.
And you're all living in like Sebring right now.
Yes, we are all in Avon Park, Sebring, Lake Placid.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. Who had the idea to do this? Do you even remember?
It was a very... It's a story that I should not tell on here, but we definitely did.
That sounds intriguing.
Now you have to tell us.
We all just had... We all came together and just decided that we needed...
So you guys were drinking and talking.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you're hanging out with your buddies on the weekend.
Like,
that's kind of how it goes.
We do this every weekend. Why don't we find something to do?
Okay.
That we can all do together, because we all hang out in our off time anyways. Right. Why don't we make some money on the side?
Right.
So, and now since all this, political stuff that's going on in the country, and with, how Florida's been open this whole time, and everyone has decided to move. It seems like everyone
to Florida, within Florida. Yeah.
I think the statistic says 1,000 people per day move to Florida.
Yes. It's really big, and it's really helped us out. And we have a lot of real estate agents that we have moved, and they always give our cards out, and everyone always gives us good reviews on our pages on Facebook.
Okay, so let's back that up just a little, because you already have pages on Facebook and all that. But when you first started, how did you start telling people what you were doing?
Oh,
how did people find out to call you?
We were on separate Facebook pages that have people that ask for people. We need 4 people to help move. And then we would send them a picture in the comment of our card, and it says everything.
Beautiful.
And,
like the Moving to Sebring Facebook group. And,
right.
And so you'd post in there.
Because there's in Lakeland, there's a group called Moving to Lakeland. And people are always asking in there, does anybody know any good movers? So
Moving to Sebring, that sounds like a new page that I should start up.
You should start it if it doesn't already exist.
I'll tell
There's
you.
a lot of people moving to little old Sebring.
Yeah.
It's been a lifesaver for us, because every time I have a question about anything, I go in and I ask, and lots of people answer. But then I became Facebook friends offline out of that group with the admin.
That's right.
Michelle Bridges. And man, she's helped me a ton to know where to go and what to do and that kind of stuff. So did you guys start with somebody had a moving truck, or how did you start logistically?
Oh, okay. So
moving people's stuff.
before we really decided to make it a main thing, we have been using a U-Haul.
Okay.
And like U-Hauls, you save some money, if they're in the area, then we rent a U-Haul. If not, then we borrow his dad has a giant trailer that we borrow sometimes. And we are actually in the process of buying our own big one.
Yeah.
And
nice.
maybe like a box truck also, because we're starting to really we're hiring more people now.
That is really cool. I love that idea. In fact,
more jobs on the weekends.
I was curious. Are you buying a box truck or a trailer? Like
first we are going to buy a trailer,
okay.
and then we are going to have a U-Haul and a trailer running at the same time, so that we can do more.
Yeah, multiple vehicles
on the same day, because we have hired more people, and more people are asking for us.
Wait. So when did you start this?
About 5 months ago.
And you're already having to hire employees.
Yes.
And you're about to start running 2 different crews.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
I love it.
We are, the big plan is to start doing like throughout the country, big moves.
Okay.
Eventually. Our head guy, Wes, he is great. He has taught all of us everything. He has 20 plus years experience. He's a little bit older than us, but he hangs out with us.
Yeah.
And he's got a family and they're great.
It sounds like you guys had an idea, you started tossing it around, figured out what your resources were, figured out where to start telling people about who you are and what you do. And then here you are 5 months later with a full-fledged business and a plan for growth. That's amazing to me.
And I can only assume you're making money and you're having fun.
Yes. We are still hanging out with each other, still cracking jokes, just making money with it.
And so during the week when you're at the furniture warehouse, you guys are moving furniture around, putting stuff together. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
So it's a perfect
It really is, because
segue. I mean, it's genius.
Yes, most of the guys that we have right now, they deliver your furniture to you anyways if you
and
shop
put it
at Turner
together
Furniture.
And know to put gator clamps on a sectional so that the thing stays together.
If they'd done ours, ours would have the gator clamps.
Yeah, and they'd stay together. I didn't even know that until my people that put our lanai furniture together said, "What do you mean your stuff floats around? It doesn't stay together."
He was like, "Let's take a look at it." Oh, they didn't put gator clamps on it.
And here are the holes drilled for it, so I know they come with it. It was crazy.
It was. So what's been one of the most surprising things that you've realized during this 5-month process? Has anything kind of shocked you?
Yes, how fast it can go. Like we just, how fast it can pick up.
Right.
That's what the most shocking part was.
Okay.
I've never experienced anything like this before in my life, and I really want to stick with it.
Well,
nice.
if you get 2 jobs every Saturday,
at least,
you know what I mean? That's a sustainable thing.
Yeah.
What if you get 16 jobs? You better start looking for people.
Like we're booked out for like 3 months, and like we only work if it's in the area. We can go after work. We go after our full-time job, and start helping you pack and wrapping everything up, and then throughout the week, if it's a big job, we'll do like 2 or 3 days, like do one load one day, just we figure it out and we get it done in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Nice.
We don't take forever. If it's on a weekend, it's done that day.
Do you have a social media page for the company?
We do. It is always on the move.
Okay. And do you have a way to get reviews from your customers onto that social media page? Like, do you use SurveyMonkey to have them do?
I do not. That's a great idea. I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, and that way you can have reviews on your page that are quantifiable. So somebody who's looking at a moving guy, they've got 15 5-star reviews. They're my guy. You know what I mean?
But that is what is shocking, though. We have a ton of big furniture moving, house moving. They move everything in our area, and we are giving them a lot of heat.
Yeah.
That's great.
You are disruptors in the market.
They know who we are.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Love that. Which social media platforms are you primarily using?
Right now, we are on Facebook only.
Okay.
We'll see about branching out.
Okay. If I recommend you do some Instagram stuff.
Yes.
Maybe some TikTok stuff.
I would not recommend Instagram, actually.
How come?
I would go straight to TikTok.
Okay.
Straight to TikTok.
Yeah, because Instagram just changed their platform quite a bit. And so I think TikTok would actually be amazing for you guys on like 100 different levels.
Especially with you, because you're funny and you're good looking. And if you did TikToks, they're 15 seconds or so.
Well, they're up to 3 minutes now.
Well, yeah. But you want to be the funny mover.
Yes, well, we are the funny movers.
You know what I mean,
That is something that you will see in the comments on our pages. These guys look like they have a great time. They get everything taken care of. Nothing has been broken. This is the first time, Well, and one thing that annoys me about people that do heavy labor jobs like moving is a lot of the people that do it are pissed off that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're the company owner and you're doing it, you're happy and you're singing and you're whistling and you're dancing while you're doing it. I got to tell you, that is something people want because everybody's used to the mover who says, geez, we overcharge. I can't believe this company.
We care about your products.
I sure like that kid.
Man, he's got a lot of things dialed in. It's impressive.
He was a cheerleader in college. He was a football star in high school. I think he became a cheerleader in college to hit on cute girls.
I don't know, but he's a super well-rounded individual, and I love his mindset. I love his hustle. His
full scholarship, by the way, for cheerleading.
Yeah, I mean his just can-do attitude. Love that.
Happiest kid in the world, very smart, and I'm glad to see that he's not only working a full-time job but a side hustle.
Yeah,
that's making money.
Yeah,
and they have plans to upscale, which is great.
They have big plans, which I love seeing. It's really exciting.
I need to connect him with my friend Kenny Teasdale, who owns Smooth Moves, so he can have a conversation about how Kenny did it when he was starting.
Yep.
That may be a good contact for him. I think I will make that connection.
Yeah, why not? We love connecting people to resources.
That's what we do.
Yep.
All right. This has been a special edition, the family reunion edition of The Session with Londa and David. Is there anything you want to add before we get out of here? Because we've got about another...
I don't think so.
Another 50 seconds.
Nah, I'm good. Let's let class out early today.
All right. In that case, my name is David Austin for Londa Sherwood Austin, and this has been The Session with Londa and David. We have way too much time.
So fun, though. The music's so fun. We don't have too much time.
The music is fun. And there's only another 11 seconds. Thanks for watching.